All right, all right. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Clear Channel. If you haven't had a chance to pull out your cell phones and go to YouTube and jump on the link where Clear Channel is, and please subscribe. Please do that now. Appreciate you doing that. We're over 1,400 subscribers since we started the Clear Channel 2-3 years ago. And for those of you all that are joining us for the very first time. The channel is set up and it was created to help change the world one leader at a time. This week, I'm going to go over a few concepts. Normally, we have guest speakers and people that are running businesses or, professional athletes on our channel. But today, I just want to cover some life and leadership concepts to help you all level up what you're doing. So I want to talk about commitment. And in my eyes, there's 4 levels of commitment when it comes to growing your career or growing yourself. The first level of commitment is the I should. I should do something. I should go to the gym. I should reach out to someone that I need to talk to. I should read a book to help my career advance. There's this world of I should be doing certain things, and that's the first level. And frankly, when people should be doing things, they typically should all over themselves, and they don't get much done. They actually get very little done because they're constantly telling themselves, "Oh, I should do that," but they never actually do it. The second level of commitment is I want to. I want to do certain things. I want to grow my career. I want to get ahead. So you're a little more motivated than the shoulders, the shitters. And I want to get ahead. This is, you're actually starting to make some moves. You're starting to, get your world moving forward. Maybe it's you want to get in the gym because you see the benefits. You see other people around you accomplishing, or maybe in your career, you want to make more money and you see other people doing better than you, and you get a little bit more motivated. And then the third level of commitment is I need to. It's funny because people say to me sometimes we have certain meetings, we have certain, nights, like we call it team night and office night for anyone in our organization. And they say things like, "Oh, I can't make it. I can't make the meeting. I can't make the team night. I can't make it to the gym in the morning." To me, that what they're screaming is, I just don't want to. And that's okay. That is totally okay. But just know professionals know that you can if you really wanted to. Now, if someone needs to do something, then there's no other option. That they need to accomplish their goals. They need to make more money. Maybe they're in a situation like I was when I started my career, and I was, very low on funds. I was recently out of college. I was just on my own. I didn't have a lot of money to my name, to say the least, because I was 22. Like no, and I guess in my family, no one starts off with 100K in the bank. And so I had to get out and work. So it was when I came into this, opportunity that I'm in my industry, I realized very quickly it was performance based. And because I had bills due very quickly, 30, 60 days later, I needed to do well. It wasn't I wanted to or I should. No, I needed to. My back was against the wall. And so it was no other option but to fight and to work and to do everything I had to do. And listen, again, there's some people in today's world that are young and they live with their families and they do other things, which is awesome. I'm happy for people that get a chance to start off maybe and not have the extra pressure that a lot of people have. But again, the level of commitment changes when you need to do something. And I'll tell you, a few years ago, I had a buddy of mine that had a pretty negative diagnosis when it came to his health. And it was literally a doctor told him that within months or not even a year, he wouldn't be on the planet if he didn't make subtle changes to his diet and to his exercise based on blood pressure and different things. And that changed from, hey, I wanted to get into shape, into I needed to, and he had family and kids, and his absolute attitude changed about what he needed to do. And then last but not least, the fourth level of commitment is you go through these different phases and you just say, I will. I'm going to do it. I'm all in. I'm going to get after it. I'm going to do everything I need to do. I'm going to take guidance. I'm going to take coaching. I'm going to make changes. and I'm going to move forward. And I share that with you guys today because, in my opinion, 2023 for a lot of people is going to be the game changer year. I call it the year of the legends. Maybe it's the 23, maybe it's the number. I don't know. I'm a big Jordan fan. But I believe 2023 is going to be a big difference for a lot of people, not just in our industry, but just in general. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about is, okay, you're excited, you're fully committed to what you want to do. There's a concept called deliberate practice. Deliberate practice. And deliberate practice is what, again, professionals do when they want to improve an area of their game. And again, the easiest example for anyone that knows me, I like athletes, and I was an athlete at one point. But when it comes to any sport, it could be football, it could be soccer, it could be golf, whatever sport, a true athlete will dissect their game and get down to the point that they need to get better at. So, give an example. I was at a training facility recently doing a workout, and I saw a football player in there that had his feet on a little jello-y ball that kind of moves around. It kind of works your ankles a little bit. It's flat on top and circling bottom, so it's really unbalanced. And then there was another person throwing a football at him, and he was catching it one-handed. He had one hand behind his back, and they were whizzing it at him like super fast. And he was like one-handed. And he had to throw it back. One-handed, throw it back. That guy was working on knee stability and strength in your knee, and then hand-eye coordination to catch the ball without even looking. And there's other things they were doing once he got off the ball. He'd be turned around, and they'd say, turn. And as he turned, they'd whiz the ball at him, so he'd have to react. He was a wide receiver that played, I think, at Michigan State or something, and he's an all-star. So there's no coincidence that guy is going to get better at that specific craft, right? And I think of Tiger Woods, and again, any of the golfers in the world, people that are really serious about a part of their game, they'll pull out their 7-iron, or whatever club, and they will practice that hundreds of thousands of times. So when they're in that specific moment, they have preparation, they have practice, they've logged their hours to improve that skill so they can execute when they need to. If it's in the world of sales and the industry that we're in, really simple. If somebody needs to get better at engaging customers, there's a specific side of the pitch to increase the statistics that can translate to getting the numbers that you need to get to improve what you're looking to improve. If you miss out on some deals, maybe you got some presentations that are close to closing and that they're changing, they're getting to the point where you got them and then they walk away. Well, there's a piece of the pitch that you can work on deliberately to improve that part of your game. And, listen, when I think of, the professionals, again, people that make the most in all their industries and do the best, and listen, it's maybe not for you, it's not about making the most. Maybe it's about making 6 figures. That's fine. But making more than you're making and living the life that you want to live, think about the parts of your game that you need to improve and deliberately practice those parts of the game. It's not that hard. Just you got to look at it. You got to have the awareness around, hey, I want to get better at this. Again, you go back to levels of commitment. I should do this. I want to do this. Okay, I need to do this, right? I need to, go from $1,000 a week to $2,000 a week in my income. We have an office in South Florida in our industry that on average in the commissions and things, reps are making $1,000 to $1,200 a week or whatever, like 50, 60 grand a year, which is great, for an entry level sales position in the industry we're in. Hey, that's fantastic. There's an office in South Florida that had 35 people that made between $1,000 and $4,000 in their office. Like more than 60% of their office made over the average. There's actually 15 or so people that made $2,000 to $3,000, and there's like 5 people that made $3,000 to $4,000. Why do those people in that market do what they do? Why do some people in the office that I'm in or in the industry I'm in and the people I work, why are there some people that are consistently high productive or high producers? Well, because they take the time to fine tune the skill. They take the time to fine tune the questions and to listen to customers. Right? They're deliberately practicing what they have to practice, and they get better at it. And listen, when you do these things over the years, so I don't know if you know the story about Tiger Woods, you know the story about Serena Williams, some incredible athletes had incredible careers. But, Tiger started watching his dad golfing as a toddler. He was watching him golf. He was riding along. He picked up a golf club when he was like roughly a year old. Between the ages of 11 and 16, he became one of the best amateurs around. For you guys that know golf, he shot a 71 when he was 11 years old. And over the years, and not only did he have all the medals from all the the records of all the best golfers in the world on his wall, he had a vision of what he wanted to accomplish. But he then, for years and years, would go out and hit thousands and thousands of golf balls, right? And then over the course of time, he ends up winning 19, different, Grand Slams or whatever. There's so many things that he did, but keep in mind, he didn't start making money until he was 19 years old, right? And 20 years old. He had 19 years of learning and of practice and deliberately working on his craft. And so many people think that, things are going to happen overnight and an overnight success. That's not the case at all. It takes 15 years to 20 years to be an overnight success. I've seen it in my industry. I've seen it in my own career. So keep that in mind. And again, maybe Serena Williams, maybe you're a tennis player, and Serena Williams, same type of story. And if you saw the movie, the things that she did with her sister and her dad, the amount of time spent on the court when no one was around. It's deliberate practice that makes it key. All right, so that's point number 2 is deliberate practice. Point number 3 today is removing limiting beliefs. It's so often I talk to people and I talk to them about their goals. I talk to them about what they want to accomplish. And I can just hear it in their voice that they don't believe. They don't believe in themselves. They don't believe in what they're going to do. And listen, I think, that's maybe a longer conversation, but I will say this, when you believe in yourself, other people will believe in you. But it all starts inside. It all starts on how you look at things. I'll tell you this morning, one thing I'm trying to work on with my boys, and I hope someday my boys watch this channel and they learn a lot about the people and the entrepreneurs and what success is. And listen, they already know that daddy does YouTube, which is kind of funny. But I want them, this morning when they're talking, I want them to watch this video and watch it back. But my boys tend to throw shade at each other. And it bugs me. And I stopped them dead in their tracks. And I'm like, don't talk to your brother like that. That is not right. It's not right to point the finger that you did this and you did this. You're the reason why this is happening. Every time I do something, he's the one. And I'm like, no. You believe your brother, tips you off or triggers you. You make the decision if he triggers you, right? Literally, I had this conversation with my 7-year-old and my 10-year-old this morning. I'm like, no, sit down. We're talking. And I, and listen, they both kind of, get all defensive and they both kind of sit down and they get mad. They look away. And I said, hey, listen, are you ready to listen? Because it seems like you're a little emotional right now, and it's okay to be emotional. But when you're ready to listen, we're going to have this conversation. We're not going anywhere until we have this conversation. I'm listening. And then we talked about it. But it's not right. Now, keep in mind, though, they're 7 and 10, so they're going to go through this. But what I'm trying to teach them is subtle life lessons of as they get older and as life comes at them, right? And maybe it's their brother that's giving them a hard time, but maybe it's their coworker. Maybe it's their teammate, right? Maybe it's their boss or maybe they're the boss. Who knows? But what I'm trying to teach them is to understand that, hey, how you see things and what you believe is going to change everything you do next, and taking accountability for where you're at, right? So the first thing, if you want to grow in the industry or the career or the opportunity you're in, you got to first believe inside that you're going to grow. I read an article this morning as I was getting ready for the day, And the article talked about, this lady was, suggesting, is on, I post a big TikTok video or whatever, about how her company didn't, believe in her and how they didn't give her opportunities. And she's 15 years into working for this company, and they laid her off, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago on a 7-day notice. And she got all pissed off that she put everything into it and whatever. And they, next thing, she's got a family now. And and it's crazy, right? I put in 150% all the time. And then, she says in the article that, she didn't put in 150% because she wasn't growing like they promised. She wasn't getting ahead like she promised. And then they laid her off. And listen, organizations change and the economy changes. And she happened to be in a company that is affected by the economy pretty severely. And they then lay her off 15 years in. And that's not fair, and that's not right sometimes for some people. But it's interesting because she then talked on the second half of the article about how that 15 years she was building a company. She was actually a writer, and she's building her own business on the side. And now she's going to go all in on her entrepreneurial ventures. And in my eyes, it's like, hey, listen, again, she's looking at that company, that can point the finger. You did this, whatever. Man, if I had a chance to talk to this person, I'd say, listen, that served you. What happened to you served you. It actually gave you now the reason for you to go do what you really want to do and push you to be an entrepreneur and build the life that you want to have. Right? And I'm trying to teach people, it all starts with what you believe in and how you see things. Now, I will say this, I was I got a chance to speak recently in front of a few hundred people when I was traveling. And, it was crazy because somebody asked me about standards, and it has to do with beliefs and the same kind of world. And they said to me, what are your thoughts around standards? Like, how do you, if you want to do more, you want to accomplish more, what are your thoughts around standards? And I said, okay, so let me ask you this. Do you believe being healthy is important? The person asked me. They're like, yeah, you're healthy. Okay, cool. So I'm not going to call anyone out, but how can you tell that people really believe health is important if you're in front of 100 people? And the person's like, well, I guess you could just ask around. I said, no. What you do is you have everyone sit down, and you say, stand up if you work out 3 to 4 days a week. And you got to be on the honor code. And the people that stand up, you will be able to physically see that they work out. And the people that aren't standing up, you also can see, unfortunately, that they may or may not work out as much as they want to. I'm not picking on people and their health and how they look, but my point is actions speak so loudly that I can't hear what you're saying, right? And when you believe health is important, then you are actually going to do something about it. And it will show up in how you look and how you feel. And are you, if you have if you're muscular, if you're in shape, if you, it shows up when you go for a run. Like it all translates to how you are, right? But it all comes back to your standards. Again, if you believe that health is important, then your standards will push you to go to the gym, and your discipline will push you to get going, even though you may travel, you may do other things, you may be up late sometimes, but you'll still get your 30 minutes in or whatever. I mean, I know from my world, bus this week has been crazy. The bus lady's been late 15 minutes every day, which cuts into my workout 15 minutes, but I still get it in. I may not get in the full 40 minutes, whatever I like to do in the morning, and get my full run in. I cut my run in half a little bit. I'm a little quicker between, stations I'm on or whatever, but I still get it in, right? Because again, I believe that my health, and it's really deep for me, unfortunately, based on what happened to my parents, but my belief system and my mind, my own standards translates to my effort, which ultimately translates to my results, right? So again, belief, remove the limiting beliefs. You can do whatever you want to do, whatever you need to do based on, we talked about commitment earlier. Second thing I want to share today is changing your inner game, changing things in here is really hard sometimes. Because what will happen is you'll start gaining progress in parts of your life as you start working on your mind. Because again, your mind's a muscle, right? It's just like your arms or your legs or whatever. It's a muscle. It needs to be strengthened. So as you start to work on this muscle in your mind, the neat thing about it is once your mind is expanded, it doesn't go back to its original state. So that's the positive thing about working with your mind. The other part about your mind is once you start working it and challenging it and pushing the beliefs and pushing the way you're looking at things, then things are going to open up for you. You're going to start attracting some incredible people that think like you think around you. But changing your inner game is hard because along the way, there's going to be people that are going to tell you that you're crazy, that you're not the same, that you're just acting differently. I've unfortunately had friends of mine, and thank God this didn't happen to me because I chose to wait later in my life to get married, and I was super sure when I did. But I've had people, as they've grown in their mind and they've grown in their career, they actually grow apart from their significant other. And I've seen it, and it's because one person is really on the realizing that, hey, I want to accomplish, I want to grow, I want to get ahead, and their goals kind of start going like this. And then if the other person isn't similar, where they have similar goals or similar ambitions and similar things they want to accomplish, what happens is it starts going like this. And it's unfortunate, right? But that's why for me, it's like getting in the right relationships are so valuable, it's so important. But changing the inner game will start changing your identity. Will start changing your own expectations. Your goals will evolve. But along the way, again, it's not going to be easy. There's going to be certain people that may, kind of get not intentionally removed, but they'll just kind of work their way out of your life. And I'm not saying that it's positive always, but as far as the relationship goes. But I believe that, listen, you have to win in your life individually if you're ever going to win in your life collectively. If you ever into a point where your relationship is huge. So, but changing the inner game, it all starts inside. It is challenging. It is hard, and it is going to push you. But to me, there's no other better way to live. There's no other better way to live to accomplish what you want to accomplish and do what you want to do. And then the last thing I'm going to leave with you guys with today is people are rewarded in public for years of evolution and challenges in private. I'm going to say that again. If you're listening on the YouTube channel, or if you're listening live today, I know we have some people in the audience that are listening today, but people will be rewarded in public for years of challenges and experiences that they've had in private. And so, I've learned this myself. My darkest of times, and I'll tell you, I've had years of running a business that were not good, that were actually quite awful. I remember there was years that, even months of time where I was making investments to grow the business and to accomplish and expand markets. And I was stressed because I was putting everything on the line to expand and to evolve and to build out what I was looking to build out to get to where we are now and where it's like, catapult time. But, it's interesting because all those challenges, all those times, I remember sitting in the sauna being so stressed out and so mentally in a tough spot. And I just had to work on zenning. I had to work on calming my mind. I really had to work on it. And I just sat still and I, started to work on exercises that I'd looked up and I had from, professionals that told me on how to get stronger in my mind and how to, really, it was a lot of yoga type practices, because what my goal is to control this. I know I decide on what happens. And so give an example. When I do my cold shower every day, I've been doing it for years. I get in the shower, take a normal shower, and then at the end, I turn it freezing cold. And I do it every single day, no matter where I am on the planet. And the reason I do it is because it's my way to remind my body that I'm in control. I do not want to stand under a freezing cold shower. Let's be real. It is fucking cold. Like really cold. But I turn it on every time and I stand there and I take it for 30 seconds and I kind of get on and I shake through it and I freaking fight through it sometimes. But I just remind myself that I'm still alive and I have a lot to accomplish and I control my mind. No one else. That I tell my mind, I tell my body, I tell it what to do. And again, that's a subtle practice that's been proven to help people strengthen what they want to do and where they want to go and do what they need to do. But what you do in private, the books you read, the time you spend, the relationships you have, the messages, maybe the positive messages you send to people because you're looking out for them, whatever it is you do that nobody sees, you will be rewarded in public handsomely in your future. So wanted to share that with you guys today. I know I was kind of all over the place a little bit, but went over some commitment stuff today and beliefs and deliberate practice. Just a lot on my mind, but I'll leave you guys with this. Last but not least, in the world, I read 2 or 3 articles this morning, but the other article I read was, there's a CEO at Goldman Sachs that wrote, in a recent interview that was just talking about the banking system and how he's incredibly nervous that the U.S. is going to default here in the near future. Now, I don't think the government's going to let that happen because that's going to cause a lot of chaos in the markets and chaos in other places. But he's got a lot of influence, and maybe it's his way of making sure that people are going to do what they got to do. But the world is not an easy place today when it comes to the economy. It comes to work. Unfortunately, there's a lot of changes that are happening in a lot of different industries. But I believe that things happen for you, not to you. So if there's anything that we can do or I can do personally, when it comes to my consulting services or my coaching services or really just in general, you guys know where to find me. But please subscribe, follow us on Instagram, on TikTok, and all our different platforms, obviously here on YouTube. But we'll talk to you guys very soon. Have an awesome week, and we'll talk to you guys very soon. Thanks so much.